Hey, everybody. We are live. My name is Debbie, and this is Living Purified, my online journal for living a purified life for Jesus Christ in my mind, body, and spirit. And I am starting a new kind of series, kind of thing. What's not a kind of thing? There's this book that I actually was sent in the middle of COVID, and I never got to dissect it. And I was like, you know what? I think this would be a really good book to jump into. And it's about relationship goals, and it's by a group named More Faith. And this is just kind of my one of my good friends. She actually was on the calls, and this is like an ebook that they put together of all these conversations they had on Zoom during COVID about relationships. And I said, okay, you know what? Let me talk about this. Let me dive into this because this is something I find really interesting. And the first chapter is dating and courting is not interchangeable. And so I want to go over this now. And as you see below, if you have a prayer request, make sure that you go ahead and submit it. livingpurified.co/prayer. Let's jump in. Let's jump in. Now, this is by Joshua and Anastasia Packer. And those they're based out of North Carolina. And if you want to follow, the IG is right here, More Faith 826, or on Facebook, More Faith 826. Disclaimer: I am not associated with any of these brands. I am just dissecting through this ebook because it was so good. And like I said before, this is about relationships and just kind of a workbook based on all the notes that they were going over. So let's go down to kind of, it's not even a chapter one, but the first discussion. What is the bigger picture? And they start off the discussion talking about dating and courting are not interchangeable. Dating is done in private, courting is done in public. I'm gonna stop right there. I know there's not literally the word dating in the Bible, right? There's that's not necessarily in the Bible, right? But then we've been terming, a lot of people have been saying, okay, well, I court this person, or so it's really interesting when it says dating is done in private and courting is done in public. I know for me that it's been kind of in and out, honestly. I've definitely let people see who I've dated, but I think there's a difference between dating and being a relationship. Courting, that's more of a commitment. That is someone that you're intentionally, are you God's choice for me? Is this or God ordained? We know this to be true. So the reminder here is you court to marry and you marry to date, which is a little different than what we're used to. And I find it really interesting to read that, because it's like, well, no, you date so that you can marry. And it's like, no, 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 no. You court so that you marry. Basically, you're intentional. I am not just randomly talking to someone just because. I am actually, this has to be intentional. And then once I know this is of God and we have our covenant, then we get to go and date. And not to say, and I don't think this means like literally you don't get to go enjoy each other, have fun, and experience life. I don't think that, but there's intentionality, right? It's not just a random thing or you're bored. I find a lot of people want to date just because they're bored, they're lonely, whatever it is. And the other point they go into is, if you do not have the right interpretation of courting and dating, then you'll have the wrong I cannot talk tonight. Interpretation of marriage. When you are dating in your marriage, you reap the benefits of your evaluation. It's a really intentional process, and I'm learning that even in my own journey of putting myself out there and meeting people, realizing that's not it, different things like that. And it's been challenging, really, to have these conversations and just to dig deep into what this looks like. And the first reflection question they go over is, if we know that the source, which is God, and we know that the word for ourselves, so the word is our Bible, right? Why do we consult other people? What is distorting your picture? I just want to stop right there. So, and put it in the comments below. If you know the source, God, and you know the word, the Bible, for yourselves, why do we consult other people? I know I've been guilty of wanting to talk to girlfriends, or just wanting to talk to family or other friends, and wanting to get their opinions on, what do you think about this person, and making sure I bring them around. And I remember I had a time in my life where I gave God my all except for my love life. And I said to myself, this part hurts. And to hand that over to God and to go into the word and to really seek knowledge about it has been really a ever growing journey for me. Why do we consult other people? Because we sometimes we think we know best. I think I knew best. What's distorting my picture? I would say sometimes looking at other people, comparison. I've never compared myself to anybody else's relationship. I don't do that. But I do think that different opinions, because you can have different friends on different journeys, right? Not everybody's on the same journey as you. So I have different friends that believe in God, right? And some friends that are not necessarily walking the walk, especially when it comes to their love life. They're kind of making decisions as they go. And sometimes it's not the best, right? And so I know I have consulted other people. I've consulted myself and I felt like, well, I felt right. I didn't feel any conviction. So I'm going to move forward. What's distorting my picture? Because I'm not viewing dating, the love life, the relationship through God's eyes. That's what distorting my picture. But I would love to hear what you think. Why do you consult other people in this area and not turn to God, not turn to the word and good wisdom? So the other thing they talk about is three categories for waiting for marriage. You're looking at finances, you're looking at education, and you're looking at already playing married. So I'm going to kind of dive into this. So finances, money is always really interesting. I find it interesting to talk to people about their finances, whether it's the credit score or if it's, paying down debt or if it's investing. I my last few relationships, I've actually known more about the person's finances. We've actually talked about it because anytime I've ever dated or been in a relationship, really been in a relationship, I wouldn't say dated. I've wanted to know. They've asked me. I never went to someone's bank account. Okay, I feel like boundaries, right? But we've had discussions. Are you saving? Are you doing this? So that's very interesting. And then education, like how much education are we doing about what we're doing? Because I feel like a lot of us, we go get educated on finances, we go get educated on our health. But when it comes to relationships, a lot of us are ignorant, including myself. For a very long time, I was ignorant. I was just doing it, and whatever worked, worked. And I think that being educated and having wisdom and knowledge from other people, but then also seeing things for what it is really important. And then already playing married. Unfortunately, I have some friends that they lived with people before marriage, or they were acting like they were playing house. And I never have done that. That was a standard that even when I wasn't waiting until marriage to be intimate, I never wanted to do that. I feel like there should be boundaries. And I just talked about this when I was at a relationship panel. And this man was talking about how he's looking for a woman to build with him, to help him. But there should be, I don't think there's anything, this is my personal opinion, it's not Bible. I feel like being a wife or being a husband, there's boundaries when you're getting to that point, right? You can share, you can help someone, but you're also still a sister or brother in Christ. You're not their wife, you're not their husband. So be very careful of, oh, I'm going to drop everything and submit to your vision, or oh, I'm going to give you I think people need to definitely have boundaries and not necessarily just rush into anything or even act like they're married and they're not. And that was one of the issues that ended my last relationship, was we didn't see eye to eye on where we were going. He felt the things that he was requiring of me, you would require of a wife, right? And I don't know if there are men or there are situations where even women expect men to act like husbands and they're not. I feel like there's ways to morally support, there's ways to see growth without feeling like, well, let me go pick up your groceries, or let me come and support everything that you like. Let's still enjoy each other in this process and really hear from God more than anything else. Let me see your character more than it is about like, oh, okay, let's already act like it. So let me go move on. Now, the other thing they go into is, did I tell you I'm single? And the three necessities of singles is they talk about wholeness, they talk about mission, they talk about authorization, right? Singleness is a state, not a status. Ooh, that's good. What does it mean to be single? I think, I'm learning this, even for myself, being whole. There's a book. I would challenge anybody that is listening and watching to please go read the book Wholeness by Teray Roberts. I actually did that with a small group. Amazing. I really need to go through it again. I have it on an ebook, but amazing. And I find that a lot of people, they run into these relationships because it's like this hole that they're trying to fill. They fill it with substance abuse. I've been in a relationship where I saw a man do that. He runs to substances, alcohol, smoking, whatever it is, women, or work, because that can be a place that you want to, you want to fulfill, and or you don't want to deal with your childhood trauma. There's so many areas where we all supposed to grow, and being whole is. I've met a lot of men recently, and this is no, like, to anybody that's watching that's a male, but I've been meeting a lot of men that fear being alone. I actually just went to a summit that was for men, and they mentioned that, guys, I know we're afraid of being alone. Like, that's one of our things. It's like, I don't even care if she's toxic. I don't care who she is. At least I got somebody. And it's like, be very careful of that. Just, you need to get to a state where, even if God blesses me with someone, great, but I'm gonna love my life. This is what I told my friend the other day. I'm gonna enjoy the life that I have. And sometimes to the point where I even forget that I'm waiting, or I'm forget, like, and whether God's calling you to singleness full time, because I've talked to people and they're doing that too, or not, but there should be this fulfillment in your life. I asked recently a pastor, I said, how do you stay patient in this process? And she said, contentment. And speaking of contentment, let's pull out the word, because I don't want to just go into this ebook without actually going into the word. And I want to pull up First Timothy 6 and 6. And it says, yet true godliness with contentment is itself great wealth. And there's so many other contentment Bible verses that you can jump into, but contentment, you're whole, you've done the work, you've talked to God, you've asked God to search my heart. David said, search my heart, oh Lord, search my heart and see anything that is not right, is not of you. And I'm going to go into searching my heart. So David talks about this in Psalm a couple of times here. Let's see here in Psalms. I'm all the way in Kings, and now I need to get into Psalms. But here it is. Yeah. So David goes into the Psalms. And so it's important for us to, it's scary to ask God to search our heart. I think it's very vulnerable to get to that level with God, that, what, God, this part really hurts and I don't really want to talk about that. And I know for me, I've definitely done that. I've avoided certain conversations because they hurt too much. But when I did go to God in my truth, that's where the growth came. Now, the next one is mission. There should be something that you're on fire for. Recently, I've been really going into personal development conferences and workshops and different things like that. I feel like the more and more you're on your mission, whether you're single, you're not single, you're waiting, you're whatever, God did not place us into this world just for ourselves. The mission is definitely connected to others, whether it's serving, whether it's leading, it doesn't matter what it is, but there should be some type of mission, AKA purpose, that you know. And if you don't know, ask the Lord what it is, or even ask your friends, or maybe do a spiritual gift test to find out what it is that you naturally do well and how can you serve God with it, whether it's through your job, because you can still work for other people and do it, or you may want to start your own, or maybe it's through service and volunteering. Whatever that mission is, you should know it. When someone asks you what you do and why you do what you do, that should be your mission, why you're here. And maybe it's evangelism, maybe it's different things like that. And then it goes to authorization. And so the main text here says you have to throw away your worldly misconceptions about building a list that is a result of a conversation between you and God. So stop right here. So you have to throw away your worldly, what I want, what the flesh wants, what my eyes want, misconceptions. And now we're going to throw away a list that I thought I wanted. And I'm going to build a list. If it's a desire of yours to be with someone, you're going to build a list that is a result of a conversation. A conversation. That means I'm listening to God, God's listening to me. It's a two-way street. And so that's where you're understanding. And I know for me, building my confidence is like, what do you need to look for? You need to look for fruit. You need to look for fruit. And when you look for fruit, it's the fruit of the spirit. You know, when you're dealing with other people, are you producing the fruit, and then do you see the fruit in others, right? And building your list based on that. There was a conversation with singles, and they were like, "What should I be looking for?" She said, "Fruit, fruit." And not just your preferences and what but the love and the patience and the kindness and the faithfulness, just all of the fruit. Go look it up and just look at the fruits. And then how do you self-assess, where do I need to do well in, right? And then when I'm thinking of talking to other people, whether it's dating or courting or whatever it is, do they have fruit? And then it says, when you get busy with your mission, aka your purpose, you don't see what's being missed. And that's where I was talking about before, about I just got to this place mentally where it's like, you know what? I'm going to build a life that I love so much that sometimes there'll be times where I'll remember, but sometimes I actually forget that I'm waiting, because and that's what the woman at the church was telling me. She's like, love your life. I mean, if God gave you the desire, we're going to pray that it gets fulfilled, but also don't be aching and feeling like you got to, but just build a life that you're going to love and go after that mission that you love to do. And then the last thing they go over in this part is, don't let anyone in your life but God put a final stamp of authorization on your life. So God has the final say. He has the final say. No one else, not even your own self-doubt. I know for me, sometimes you get in your own head and you think you know what's what, but God puts his final stamp of authorization. This I authorize. This, yes, for sure. And we're going to stop right there, because we're going to do one last reflection question, and then the next time when we meet, let's talk about not having sex. So the last thing here is, they go over, you and your partner are two keys that enter the same house. Two different keys. You're still two different people. Yes, you become one, but you are still two single people. What does this mean? You need to be secure in your state of singleness. Whew. I have met so many people that hated it. Like, they're like, oh my gosh, I can't wait till and I've even met, and let me say this as a woman, but I've met a lot of men that have been wreaking desperation, in my personal opinion, where it's like, I'm looking for this wife, I'm looking for this wife. And it's like, dude, there's nothing wrong with wanting a wife. There's nothing wrong with that. You should be honest. You should be open. But what else are you passionate about? What else is going on in your life? And then when I ask those questions, I realize they're still confused. They still don't really know. And as a woman, what I'm submitting to is your mission. So if you're still not even clear on that, or you're still trying different things, that to me is a no-no, right? So you and your partner are two keys that enter the same house. That means we're on the same team. We don't need to be fighting each other. You need to be secure in your state of singleness. I feel like it's so interesting when I meet single people, people in general, that are like, just, oh my gosh, I'm on the app, or I'm this and that. And I don't think there's anything wrong with going to events. I don't think there's anything wrong with going on an app. I don't think there's anything wrong with any of those things at all. I feel like I know God has been telling me what to avoid, and I've made steps in other ways to meet people, but I see a blocking there somehow. So I'm really interested how that's going to be. But I do feel secure in my state of singleness, that I'm enjoying this time. I'm taking all this free time that everybody else says they don't have once they have kids, or they have a parent they have to take care of, or they have a spouse. So I'm taking all this free time and I'm pouring into my mission. I'm enjoying different events. I'm traveling. I'm doing the different things I want to do. So make sure that you're secure, because the two keys are going into the same house. You guys have the same mission. That's what it should be about. Now, the last reflection question is, what areas in your life do you need to get right with God in? Is it your finances? Is it with obedience? What is that? What areas of your life do you need to get right with God in? Finances, obedience, is it your mindset? It could be so many different things. And I'm going to end here. I know for me, it was recently, it was faith. I dealt with some recent things that have happened with rejection, and internalizing rejection and thinking that, well, if someone does this, that means, so I had to really work through that. But I feel a lot better on the other side of this, because it's like, you know what? I don't, every time I made progress, I felt like, you know, my past would come back, or some other stuff would just come back to try to rattle the progress that I made. So the area of my life that I need to get right with God is in my faith, believing, and not just praying, because praying, you could pray for something that you don't believe in. One of my good girlfriends said this recently. She's like, sometimes we're praying and we're really not letting it go. Like, we're just praying it and just talking it out loud. We're just not even complaining. I don't even know if it's complaining. I forgot how she said it. She said it so good, and I can't remember how she said it. But basically, the prayers, you can pray all you want, but it's like, where's your heart posture? That's one thing I realize, is what area do I need to get right? My heart posture. When I come to God, how am I coming? What's the motive? And slicing that like a knife with my heart and just my mind, whether it's my career, my family, my health, whatever it is, I have to work on my heart posture and my faith. I have to believe that even though I'm not seeing anything manifest in the natural, that all of this root work that I am doing is not for nothing. And so that's my area that I am working on right now with God. But I would love to hear what you are working on right now. And I thank you so much for watching Live and Purified. Make sure you let me know what you thought. If you have prayer requests, let me know in the comments below, and I'll send you the form. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.